All right, Kenman here, and we just celebrated some Amazon Prime Day specials and a lot of crazy stuff available in the knife world, but I did manage to find a couple of things interesting enough. Here is one of them. Let's get to it. Before we start, I'm not sponsored by anyone. I purchase everything at retail price. I do these videos because I love discussing knives and sharing info and ideas with others. This bag is huge. If you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to comment below. Deals so exclusive, they're ready to meet your parents. Prime or Amazon has like their Amazon Prime Day every year in the summer where they do a bunch of sales and specials on several different things. I kind of went through, tried to see what kind of knife deals there were. Not a whole lot. Maybe there was some and I just didn't find them, but I did get a couple, like I said, and here we are. Let's get in. Any thoughts, guesses on what it might be? Ba-boom. Bag on the floor. It's a Sitivien, and I got a couple of mouse pads. These were on super clearance, and I like to use these on some surfaces where I can set some knives on them. Kind of just use them as like more of a soft surface on the table I can just use to work on knives or have them displayed or whatever. They're great. Okay, we have another Sitivien. Kenman, pretty sure you were kind of talking about maybe avoiding the Sitiviens, or here's the thing: is I bought one and I wasn't a big fan of it. It was okay. Looking for a little bit more, but they're on that budget side, and someone had recommended a different one, and so I decided, all right, it was all on a super sale, and a super sale for a already budget knife makes it pretty cheap. So I tried it. It had 14C28N blade steel, and so I was like, yeah, give it a shot. And someone said they sharpened it and used it, and it's retaining its edge. So sometimes, depending on the steel, if the company didn't heat treat it well, then it doesn't really matter if it's a better steel. But anyway, shut up, Kenman. Open it up. Sitivien. There it is. It said this was one of the Prime specials. Mini bag on the floor. That's funny. It's smaller than I thought. So it came with a little... Like I said, I think I have 4 Sitiviens now. This is the first one that came with a little kind of microfiber cloth, I guess. And here it is. Shoot. Oh, that's right. It's going to say right on it. I was like, I don't always take notes for when I do the videos. I like to be a little candid and just kind of go off the hip here. And I remembered that sometimes I'll have to write down like, blade steel, model number, or whatever. Sitivien likes to just do these weird like number ones. So ST for Sitivien. And so this is the ST147. 14C28N blade steel. Got a micarta handle that's heavily contoured. Got an interesting kind of a burlappy kind of a micarta, that blue pivot collar. Like I said, this looks a little bit smaller than I thought it was going to be. But then, knives, you look at them and you can't quite tell from the photo how big it is, and sometimes you look at the dimensions and get a better idea, but you just don't know the presence of the knife until you're actually holding it in your hand. And this does definitely feel, I thought it was probably a half inch or inch longer. Let's see if I can get in there and use that flicking hole. Ugh. I don't know if I can. It's so far up. Ugh. Yeah, that flicking hole might just be for show, huh? Wow. Ugh. I can't get to it. Flipper tab works. What's the detent like here? Ooh. Boom. It feels super hard. It pulls in, it's like bam. So flipper tab, I probably will not fail. I'll try to go real light here. And yeah, that'll fire all the way out, no problem. Oops. Drop shut all right, but we've got this flicking hole here and I can't even... okay. I was holding it tight right here to try to get the action to go. It is a liner lock, so you're not putting any pressure on that. You can see that's not bending in when I squeeze that to put pressure on the lock, so that's not happening. But because that hole is so high up, if it was down just a little bit lower, a lot of times you can kind of push this way and get it to spin out. And I was kind of holding it here to give myself a little extra power, and I can get it to flick out. I don't know if that's going to end up being an option for this knife. Ugh. Thumb, I can't even get the... Okay, I did thumb it out there. It's a pretty stiff one. And I'll just where the location of that hole. If it was a bigger knife, it might have a little more leverage to get to it. But where I'm at right now, not looking good. It looks like it's going to be flipper tab only. It's got a nice little shape to it. It's really kind of forcing your hand into this area. I have a larger hand, so my pinky does not really make it into that. If it does make it into that scoop, you can see my pinky gets kind of bunched up. I can kind of grab a little loose though and get it right there. And there's still a little bit. It's definitely better for a smaller hand. You can kind of choke up on that, but it's got one of those ones where it looks like you could choke up, but really if you get in there and squeeze, you could tag yourself on that little point right there. This sharpening shape may be challenging. Kind of a interesting forward sweep to it. I like the shape and the design of it. It's got a cool kind of a look. Pocket clip cannot be swapped to the other side, even though it is kind of a universal shape that it could have been put on this side, but they opted to not put that extra hole in there. Big old lanyard spot. Okay, so we've got some jimps on there that for where it forces your hand. I can't put my thumb too far out on the blade. So those jimps are aggressive. They are not in a negative way, but like bigger, pronounced. You can feel them on there. Index finger, get that out there for some more controlled kind of draw cuts or whatever. Like I said, not really. You could choke up on that, but I don't know how comfortable I feel with that. There is some jimps along the back spacer right there. Feels kind of nice. What's everyone think about this? Do you enjoy these more budget style knife unboxings? If so, hit the like button. Subscribe if you would like to see more. Blade is centered for the most part. Looks like it's actually a little bit that way. If I loosen it up, the pivot a little, it's going to go more that way. I just want to try to loosen it up to allow the flicking hole to work, so I probably won't be doing that. Feels pretty much solid right now. It has just the tiniest little. It's pretty solid though, otherwise. Just a little bit of movement on there. Like I said, this was pretty cheap. I can't remember now off the top of my head because it was a Prime Day sale. So it brought it down. I think this is going to retail a normal value, maybe $20, $30 range. I got it. Oh, I can't even remember. Apologize. What's everyone think about this design, though? I do like the way the handle is heavily contoured. It feels very round in this center section here where it gets thinner. Because you can see the contour on the end, but it gets more pronounced right in this area because it kind of pinches in. It definitely has a round feel in this area. When we do the measurements, we can kind of check that and see how even it is here versus here. Okay, where are we? What am I missing? I did show the detent does pull it in pretty hard. And like I said, that soft flipper tab basically is going to flip it out probably every time with that detent on there. Not bad. Let's get some close-ups. Nice view here, the whole thing. See that kind of textured area, the lighter spots in the micarta, you can feel those. It's kind of a different material. Kind of raises up almost a little bit so you can kind of feel that as a texture on there. I love micarta. This looks like it feels pretty good. That blue pivot, it's interesting. I don't know how well it matches. It's not bad, I guess. And that blade shape, like I said, looks interesting, looks kind of fun. The tip is in a nice spot. This big belly right here, maybe for doing some cuts, but sharpening may be kind of, blade's a little dirty there, sorry. All right, let's get some measurements on this thing, huh? Okay, so one of the smallest, probably the smallest Sitivien I have. This is under 7 inches. Wow, I should have noticed that in the dimensions on the thing. 6 7/8, probably tip to tip. 3-inch blade to the middle there, and it's got, man, it's 2 7/8 cutting surface with a little wave to it. And the handle with the lanyard hole is 3 7/8. Wants to be 4, not quite. Not quite. All right. For a smaller knife like this, it's usually about 11 on the blade. 10, 11. That's pretty standard for a thickness. So this blade's about right. Almost looks like, look at right there. Okay, so that's this secondary kind of cut. When you look at it from the top, it looks like it cuts in more on this side than that side. You get what you pay for sometime. Like I said, it is a 14C28N. If I sharpen it up and it does retain an edge, then that's not bad. But, you know, that's just one of those things. The more you spend, you start to notice, or the less you spend, you start to notice those little things. Yeah, so blade or handle thickness is a little thicker than normal, 0.6. A lot of times it's around about half in this range. Let's check it out this way. Like I was saying, that rounded part, see 0.59 that way. 0.66, 0.60, 63. See, so it's really almost round right here. It's got a nice feel. And get ourselves a weight here. .84 lighter. I compare everything with the Pyrite. It's a standard size knife. It's pretty comparable with a lot of other standard size EDCs, so you can kind of cross-reference off of that. 3.67, so it's a 2.8, almost an ounce lighter than the Pyrite. But it is a thinner, kind of a slightly smaller. There we go. So that Pyrite does beat it a little bit on the blade and on the handle. Handle's about a 1/2 inch, and the blade maybe a 1/4 larger. If you are interested in a nice EDC, the button lock Pyrite comes in a lot of different variations. It's a great knife. Check it out. I do have an affiliate link for CJRB down at the bottom. If you use that, helps me out the channel a little bit. All right, let's look at a couple of Sitiviens. One I don't have together. I use it as an experiment for some dies and some laser marks, so I can't really show that one. But the other one, two that I have are these huge ones. They all have 14C28N blades, and these were the ones that, like I said, someone else said they sharpened it and used it, and it retained that edge pretty well. This one's just a crazy looker. ST138. Dwarfs it. All of these are under $30, even when they're not on sale probably. So this bad boy is huge comparatively. Sitiviens. I'm going to get my Sitivien lineup here. Silly. And then this one is just a chunk. Look at this. This is just ridiculous. Loser told me about it. This is the ST155, and I was like, man, that thing is just beast. I like my larger chonker knives, you know, and even if as a budget, it's got that flipper tab in the back. It's got a front flipper on it, and it also has that flicking hole that you can sort of get in and get. Does everyone think about these beasts? So yeah, my older Sitiviens. We'll see how these 14C28N blades go. Maybe I'll give some of these away or use them for some fun custom projects. I do a lot of custom stuff on the channel. Yeah, what does everyone think about this? It's an interesting shape. It does kind of remind me of my new mini grouper from Kaiser. Check out the video up here. I also have a Kaiser link if you want to use that one. But the grouper does kind of have that forward sweeping kind of a blade shape, kind of similar look. It does have the button lock that is a liner lock actuated with a button. Very cool. Check out the grouper. But yeah, Sitivien ST147 budget knife. If you're interested, stay sharp. We'll see you soon.